Hello everyone, it's Isurus here for our vlog number 9. It's 9, right?
Yeah, 9.
Vlog number 9. So, big news this time. Very big news, actually. We've just today we released our first video for our first single from the new album, Logocharya. The name of the song is Logos. You can find it on our YouTube channel.
Let's put a link. We'll put a link in the,
it's
in the
everywhere.
description.
It's obviously uploaded to YouTube. It's on the website. It's on Facebook. It's all over the place.
It's everywhere.
We're going to put a link in the description for this video, though.
Yeah. So we decided to skip. We actually have a schedule for these vlogs, but we decided to do one about Logocharya because we thought it makes sense to talk about it now, since it's about to come out and we released the first single and stuff. So, do we have an agenda?
Well, we have a very vague and rough agenda.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with an introduction to where we're at with the album, what the release date is, and just general sort of overview details about the album. So, the album is coming out in mid-May 2015. So that is, at this point, around 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Two and a bit weeks. 2 week.
2 week what? Wasn't listening. Was
You were 2 week.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks.
So, obviously we've been working on this album for about 4 years. Nearly 4 years.
Well, it's probably 3 because a year of it was moving studios and building a studio. That wasn't.
Yeah, but it all ties into the same.
It's all
to
part
the same
of
thing.
it, but
to the same process.
But yeah.
And so some details about the album. The album's called Logocharya. We'll put a picture of the cover of the album on the screen right here now.
Right before my face.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. Let's put it over here.
Yeah.
Actually.
Gonna. Yeah.
So the album is mixed by Daniel Bergstrand at Dugout Studios. He mixed a Kolos by Meshuggah and a number of other incredibly well-known albums. Some from In Flames.
In Flames, Devin Townsend.
Yeah, a lot of well-known artists. So it's a good mix. It was produced by us. We actually self-produced the album.
Yeah, we recorded, engineered, and produced it all ourselves in our own studio.
Yep, our own studio in London, England, in our back garden.
Huh?
In our back garden.
Yeah, which we call the Event Horizon, anyway.
Oh, there's actually a studio video, which we will link to right now on the video, and the link will appear here.
Yeah, it's Magic Day,
Yeah.
appearing stuff.
Why not?
Flame, ice, stuff like that.
Excuse the creaking.
The great thing about doing that kind of thing is that we then give Dave, our video editing man, a hard time in actually finding the images and putting them up. So it's great fun.
Yeah.
For everyone apart from him. So that's kind of an overview of the album, right?
Yeah, we're gonna, of course, we're gonna repeat some things that we've said in the past this time, but it's gonna be all. It's gonna make sense, I suppose, because we were restrained in some way before when we were talking about Logocharya, because we don't want to reveal too much about it. This time we're completely free to say anything we want to say, and it's gonna be more fun and more relaxed, I suppose. But still, you're gonna probably hear stuff that you know already, because we said it before.
Yeah, maybe.
So
should we just start at the beginning then? We
Yeah.
finished with Telos. We released that.
Which is our debut album, released in 2011 in June.
June, yeah, I think. And then we moved out of the studio we were in for probably about 3 years.
Oh, by the way, sorry. We'd like you to download Telos, which is free to download now. That it's been free to download for a long time. It's very important for us to try to get people to listen to our old stuff too. So we're gonna put a link to download in the description for Telos too. You need to know what's going on in the past to
History.
get a bigger perspective on it.
Yep.
Go on. love his face when I interrupt him. It's like he'd like to kill me,
Interrupt me.
but he can't.
Maybe one day you will.
Yeah, so we moved out of our studio that we'd been in for 3 years and recorded that album in, and then we basically had nowhere to play, and it was
Sad
probably
days.
the biggest time since me and Tom have been working together, which is now about 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
It's
No,
the
it's more.
It's the longest period of time that we'd had when we didn't have a place to rehearse, and it was about 6 months, I think.
Mhm.
It was a really bad time. But we ended up getting this place we're in now, and building a studio ourselves in an outbuilding in the garden, which if you watch that video you'll kind of see what we actually went through and how we did it all.
Yeah, that.
It was a nightmare, but
Yeah.
Just don't tell the landlord, please. If anyone knows the landlord, just don't tell him.
So it was a major undertaking. It was a lot of effort for us to do that.
it took about 3 months.
One of the major limitations, I think that actually there's two things I want to say. First of all, every video I've had in my mind, I want to say what we're drinking. Today we're drinking Cava, which is fake champagne, sparkling white wine. This is in celebration of us actually releasing some of the Logocharya material out into the wilderness, out into the wider world other than our studio, and Daniel Bergstrand's studio. And I think that the thing is that at the beginning we basically, when we released Telos and went through the whole process of it, which was quite drawn out, and obviously there was a lot involved in creating that album, but we really knew the limiting factors that we had. And one of the main limiting factors was the fact that we had to travel to this studio, and then we had to go. Well, for me it was, because bear in mind that my commute to that studio was an extra hour either way, so I was doing that every day. And
Yeah, plus we had to walk a lot.
Well, I was going to say, like, a bigger problem with that was the fact that we didn't have a bassist at the time. On Telos, I played the bass, and me and Brown wrote it together. So we didn't actually have a bass player.
Really stopped from doing it stopped us from doing anything.
No, but I think it
It just influenced the way that we delivered the album, I think, because it was just
and also the other limiting factor was the equipment we had at the time. Since Telos, we've changed everything. In fact, the entire recording chain is totally different.
yeah.
We've got a completely new computer. We sold our mixing desk. We had a Mackie 24-channel mixing desk at the time. We had a load of digital converters. We were using the preamps on the desk. We had some outboard stuff. We basically sold everything, and made our studio just 2 channels, because Tom moved to an electronic drum kit for this album. So we no longer needed to record, like 16, 17 microphones. So sold all our mics as well. We've only got 1 mic now. Well,
Yeah,
we've got a few more.
we use
but-
for everything.
We do have a few more actually.
But the only thing that actually was recorded with a microphone was Brown singing.
In Logocharya.
In Logocharya, yeah. All the guitar and bass is all direct through analog speaker simulators, and directs, which is a much better way to work in my opinion. Whereas Telos, I had my 4x12 and like microphones all over it, and the drum kit covered in microphones. And we basically turned that 24-channel studio by selling all the equipment and putting more money into it, putting all that money into just a 2-channel studio. So it's really, really, really high quality, like as good as you can get.
Yeah, it's
basically.
really, really high quality. We're big fans of Rupert Neve Designs. If there's any Rupert Neve Design fans, good for you. We are also fans. So,
Good game, bro.
yeah. So, Telos was a struggle in itself. It was quite a difficult thing to get through, and the thing is that we never had everything optimum for creating an album that really fulfilled our potential. And this is why at the end of Telos, even in the recording of Telos, we were thinking about the next album.
Yeah.
Because Brown hadn't been in the band very long for the recording
definitely.
of Telos.
Basically, we started
started
writing
recording as
lyrics.
soon as you
Yeah,
joined.
pretty much.
It was like immediate.
Yeah, I came to them with the lyrics and the vocals for Dark Matter right away. They stayed pretty much what they were at the beginning, and then I started writing lyrics and vocals right away, and in like 2 months everything was done, pretty much.
So we wanted to really go through a process of creating an album that really expresses what we are as a band, you know, and that was the thing with the last album. Although we're still incredibly proud of it, definitely, we never felt that it was a true Isurus product because of those reasons. You know, saying a lot, but I really think that we're actually at a point now where we feel like what we're releasing is actually a true product of kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I think in a way Telos was kind of a way of working out our style in a way, because Logocharya is a lot more refined and it has a more specific kind of sound.
Yeah, it's also the fact that Telos was pretty much a collection of songs. You know, it's not like it wasn't like with Logocharya. When we started working on this conceptually, we actually sat down and decided about a specific kind of sound that we wanted, and we took some decisions, right, about being a bit more heavy, and we've taken some not completely but pretty precise decisions about it, and we definitely wanted it to have a more coherent sound.
I think for me a really big factor was the fact that we're all together at the start.
Yeah.
And we came up with the concept kind of together, and we were together just talking about everything that was going to make the album. So we had a clear vision of what we wanted to actually achieve, and that was to really fulfill.
I mean, it massively helps knowing Brown's sort of singing style and everything before we started writing it. Kind of when you have that in mind. Whereas Telos was written completely without a singer in place. You know, 80% of the music was done without you being there. So it's a very different process when you kind of know what the other member's adding. Yeah,
also, you know, the concept behind Telos was developed over the entire period of time. So we started developing the concept from the beginning, and we had an idea of it, and it kind of gradually got worked on.
Are you talking about Telos or Logocharya?
Sorry, Logocharya. Logocharya's concept was developed over a long period of time. Telos was much more, we did it kind of at the end. Well, before we were even writing
that's pretty interesting the way that I wrote the lyrics, because basically I haven't changed the names of the songs.
Some of them you did.
No, only one. Only voiceover has become Either Side. It's the only one. All the other tracks have basically I've taken the prototype names that they had given to them, and I managed to sew them all together and create a concept using those titles. And I actually used the titles that they had decided to inspire myself in writing the lyrics. It was a quite weird process, but I liked it. I mean, I think it worked out pretty well.
I think
with Logocharya was completely different.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we had the title.
Actually, it was the first thing. We had the title for the album first. Yeah.
I think like right now, it's interesting if someone's watching this video and you don't really know us, to listen to Telos, and now we've got 2 weeks until the new album's released. It'll be interesting to kind of get into that and understand that album, and then see the release. It won't be too long until the album's released, and it's kind of like the right amount of time. So if you're watching it, it will be probably an interesting experience for you to go and one that we've worked for 10 years on, for you to go and listen to Telos and then view the album or
make a comparison,
and kind of see our progression,
having a reference.
So there was kind of like, there was a bit of at the beginning of Logocharya, we knew we had some things we had to deal with, which was location. So we all moved into a place together, and that was quite a difficult process to go through, and also building the studio was pretty difficult, but we managed it. And we had some changes in equipment that we wanted to complete, which you touched on, and we completed. And then after that, once that was all completed, we started the writing process.
Well, not right away. The first thing that we focused on after building the studio was we wanted to play some gigs, right?
Yeah.
And so we started looking for a bassist, and it's not easy to find a bassist. I don't know why. Don't ask us why. It's just fucking crazy, especially in London. It's like, you know, there's bases out there, but it's very hard to find one that fits a band like us. And we found one, pretty good one at some point. I like to say hello to James.
James Hobday.
He's an amazing guy, very, very nice guy. He's very young. He's also a very good bassist, a good musician overall. It's just that we found ourselves having, you know, logistic problems pretty much. Because it was pretty hard for him to keep up with school and work and everything. And so at some point we decided to just go on without him.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, before that we prepared for a gig in London. And that's when we had the gig that we realized that it felt like kind of a waste of time in some way. So we decided to just focus on writing a new album and start again from there.
You can actually see videos from our gig that we're talking about, and you can see James performing on the bass on our channel. You can watch the live videos of tracks from Telos. They're all available online.
It's 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, 3 of those. So we went through that, and then the writing process started. We already had some ideas and some things. Obviously, we never really stopped writing.
There were a few kind of riffs that were written during Telos time, like tiny little odds and ends. Because the way we tend to work is we'll have little ideas that we'll put down that we think are cool, and they can just be a riff or like a little progression or something, and we just record all this stuff and keep it and go back to it, develop it, work on it, and this goes on for years basically, just slowly, organically evolving stuff.
Yeah, there's always material kind of in the works, but really the intensive writing process began end of 2013.
2 years ago, pretty much.
And what that was me and Dave in the studio every day for a few hours every day, going through basically improvisation sessions and recording bits, and then once a week we'd review everything we'd recorded, and we'd take note of the bits that we thought were kind of like gems, put them away, carry on, and we went through this whole process that was went on for quite a long time, and we really explored different things, and then we went into the phase of actually revisiting the stuff that we'd put aside as the best bits of the improvisation sessions that we'd had.
Yeah. Well, the thing that we did with this album that we didn't do with Telos, because Telos, we pretty much did everything live.
Yeah, we always had to remember.
And what we did this, that doesn't go too well.
No.
And so many good riffs and stuff are just gone.
Got lost.
Forgotten,
Just lost, yeah.
Just like. I remember once, actually, this is quite funny. This is way before we recorded Telos. Me and Tom were in a studio we had in London Bridge, and we played this thing for hours, like one night, and we were like this, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We played it for ages. We were just going over it and improvising around this central idea, and then we woke up. We slept in the studio. Like, you know, that's sort of how bad it gets sometimes. And
one person in the control room, one person in the live room,
and we couldn't remember it. We didn't record it. We literally played it for hours. We couldn't remember it. So
yeah, absolutely. That was regular.
So we're trying to rectify that by recording it. I've kind of forgotten.
And that's a big difference. That's a big difference in our composition of this album.
That's what I was going to say. And it's kind of helped in the way that you're working on a kit, because we could. We had sessions when we'd work kind of quietly. So we'd work just with a computer. Like, I could maybe record guitar, but we could take the drums Tom's recorded in as MIDI, and we can kind of manipulate stuff, we can chop stuff up and move it around, and we were kind of arranging sort of half live and half in the computer.
Yes.
Which is a really good thing, because you can be so much more objective, because when you're playing, obviously a lot of your brain is taken up by the actual physical act of playing, and you're not actually listening 100%, you know. So when you've got it all on a computer and you can just start messing around with it, moving things around, changing different structures, you can do that as a listener, and it's really important. And through Logocharya we basically went back and forwards doing this, so playing stuff live, working out kind of new ideas and cool stuff, and then refining it in the computer, then playing that live and back and forwards, and it's a much more kind of involved process in a way, like really focusing on every single millisecond of music.
It's the reviewing, because the thing is that we went through a lot more kind of reviewing. We had proper reviewing sessions where we would go through and then we'd highlight things and we'd actually revisit them. I think we were way more organised in the way that we actually wrote the parts, and then once we had the parts, we had them in the DAW, which is in the computer, and then we could move them and restructure them and try different structures, and we spent a lot of time trying parts in different ways, which didn't really happen in Telos. We wrote them organically in Telos. It was just like what we could do live. It was all live. So also at the same time as this, Brown was in Italy at the time, in Rome, and basically soaking up some sun, probably in the summer of 2014, and basically we were looking for a bass player at this point. We didn't have a bass player even then, and Brown happened to know who turned out to be the perfect person for us. And I think, when Daniele Gravina, who's not been in any of our vlogs but will be probably quite soon, when he joined, I think we really realised what we lacked in Telos in terms of bass, because what Daniele's added to Logocharya is huge relative to what we had in Telos. It's just getting someone else's point of view, and the way that he works in the band dynamic. He's kind of like just fits right in. So it's one of those weird things. Like when when it's right, and we knew it. So you'd worked with him before, hadn't you?
Oh yeah, we've been working together for something like 9 years.
Same as us.
Yeah, he was part of my band when I was a kid in Rome. Well, not just a kid, because I've grown up with it. And so I definitely knew that it was the right one for us. It's just that it wasn't easy to get him involved, because it's not easy to keep up this kind of project when you are this age, and especially if there's 2,000 kilometers between you and the base. But I managed to actually motivate him to get involved with it. It wasn't actually hard, because he was craving for a new project to work on and start playing again. So all I needed to do was just getting in touch and explaining to him what we were doing.
So we sent him kind of rough demos, basically.
Yeah, well, it was basically pretty much the whole album.
Yeah, just
because by that point me and Dave had the rough tracks, and you were in Italy just waiting for stuff and asking and listening to review tracks that we were sending you.
At that point I definitely had not even that rough version of the album that I was able to show to him. So I'd given it to him. He started writing stuff for it, and I started helping him and reviewing it. And in August I got back to London to start working on the vocals and recording them.
You worked on them in Italy though, didn't you?
I had some songs done already.
I remember when you sent us a video of Gaia vocals, and I just thought I was blown away. I just thought, bloody hell.
Yeah, anyway, I kept working on the lyrics and vocals when I was here. And at some point we managed to have Daniele to come over. In when. 1 week, he recorded the whole album, the bass line for the whole album. And then he came back a month later to have our gig. We had a gig in October, which wasn't exactly worth it.
We didn't even film it.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly worth the hassle, because it's very, very demanding for us to go play live, because of course we use our equipment, but our equipment is pretty heavy and it's a lot of stuff to move, especially the drum kit, and it's quite a big effort. So you know, it gets pretty disappointing when you end up doing all that and you're just playing in a little club with very few people listening to you. But anyway, that's what happens to all bands pretty much. But that's what made us decide to just skip on that kind of gigs, because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth the effort. Anyway, yeah, at that point, so basically by last October, we had everything recorded, right?
Yeah.
Well, apart from the vocals. I finished working on the vocals in January. Finished recording them in January. And yeah, so basically in January we had the album.
So we're back, and we are drinking Shiraz from New Zealand, Syria, Hawke's Bay 2009. So anyway, we're just going to give a few more details around what actually went into the vocals, the lyrics, the concept, and that entire process that you went through in Rome and coming back to London. And then we'll go into production, the actual recording of the album, and mixing and release. Go ahead.
Okay, I think it's important to say that nothing should be taken. As you can see, we haven't fixed the chair, the noisy chair problem yet. Not gonna fix it. We like it. I think it's important to say that nothing should be taken too literally when it comes to Logocharya, especially about the name of the album. But to give you a general introduction to it, the word Logocharya, I've made it up, and to me, you know, it's the merging of two words, which is logos and charya. Logos comes from Greek, of course. I'm not gonna go through the meaning of it because it's too vast. And same goes for charya, which comes from Sanskrit, the ancient Indian language, which in some way, just not take this too literally, it's just my interpretation. It can be taken as way, you know, like for example in India they have this word which means which is brahmacharya, which is the way of not having sex because it's the way to God. Okay, so anyway, it's not very literal, it's just my interpretation of some things. And anyway, what it means, what it's supposed to mean, is the way of words. And there's two main concepts in this album. One is transformation, and the other one is the concept that reality is language, and that's a concept that I've taken from the work of
Terence McKenna, which I'm a big fan of. And so basically it's a way of exploring the transformation that we've had through language, as in, you know, reading philosophy and listening to big minds like Alan Watts and Ken Wilber, Terence McKenna, and the Gurdjieff, and there's a lot of references to their works in this album. And this language has transformed my and our reality so much. It's changed the way that we see the world and the way that we look at our lives. And so that's basically the core concept of the album. It's also about psychedelic experiences, meditative experiences, insights, and you know, it's also about I amness,
personal evolution,
aloneness,
metamorphosis, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we use. That's why we
the
use
art comes from.
Yeah.
I think we should probably leave the concept there and allow people to do their own research.
Yeah.
Be a little bit cryptic.
Yeah, I just want to say two things. One is that the transformation concept is why we use the image of a butterfly.
It's not a butterfly.
Which is actually a moth. Yeah.
And there's a specific moth as well. It's the Brahmin moth, which relates to.
Yeah, a Brahmin is
Eastern business.
The Eastern business.
Eastern business. Yeah.
It's kind of a priest in some way, but it's actually like a spiritual explorer,
leader.
researcher. Yeah. And yeah, we just found very cool that we wanted to use a moth, and we found out that there was a Brahmin moth. You know, synchronicities, as you would put it. And that's one thing. And the other thing is that all these songs reference to very specific concepts that were put forward by all these philosophers that I've talked about. So if you actually dig into it, you're gonna find stuff from ideas from specifically Alan Watts, Ken Wilber, Luigi Pirandello, Dante Alighieri, and Terence McKenna, and all these people basically.
Yeah, too many to
Even
mention.
Buddha,
really.
Jesus Christ, all these people that just helped people think a bit more in depth about the way that their mind works. And Robert Anton Wilson is another important one.
Yeah.
So that's it. Logocharya is the way of words, it's the way of language, and it's about how language can be the way that we
Reality.
interpret and change our inner reality. Yeah, that's it.
So now we're going to talk about just some information around the production and recording. I think we already spoke about it, but some details. I don't think we have to go into a lot of details, but we self-produced it, which means that we basically recorded it ourselves. Each individual, Dave recorded his own guitar, I recorded my own drums, so I produced and engineered my own drums, he did his guitar. Brown produced and engineered his own vocals, and he also did the bass with Daniele. So in terms of the actual recording process, how long did it go on?
I started tracking the guitars in June 2014, I think.
And you were doing that for about 2 months?
2 or 3 months. And then did synths and other stuff a bit later down the line.
And then the drum tracking started. So guitars were first. Usually in albums you have drumming first, but we had rough drum tracks already created. And then the guitars and then the drums. So drumming took me probably the same amount of time. And it was a pain in the arse. So the reason that the drum recording was such a pain was because I could view my hits in the MIDI, so I could see where I was in relation to the beat, right? And I would be like, oh yeah, that track's good, but that hit is just slightly too far away, so I have to do it again. So I got a bit obsessive about that. But anyway, all the drumming is live, recorded live, every single beat, apart from one track. And if you know the name of the track, if you know which track has anything
Prize.
yeah,
You can work it out.
Yeah, if you can work it out, good for you. Send us an email and we will do nothing. We will mention you. We'll mention you. We'll mention you in the vlog and give you a round of applause. So that was the recording, and then we came to mixing. We were looking into lots of different people. At the beginning, we were intent on actually producing fully end-to-end the album, which included mixing and mastering. But at a certain point we started comparing our rough mixes to mixes by other mix engineers. We were considering Jens Bogren from Fascination Street Studios in Sweden. And eventually, through a process of elimination and consideration, and also who was available, timelines of what was available to us, we ended up with working with Daniel Bergstrand, Dugout Studios. Was it Oslo? No,
Uppsala.
Uppsala. Yeah, Sweden. Very well known producer and mix engineer. So we started working with him. We sent him a lot of tracks, and then the process began of
waiting and suffering.
Yes, but also suffering in other ways, because he came back and he wanted slight changes to things. Because the guy, Daniel Bergstrand, in working with him, he has a clear vision. Obviously, he's primarily actually a producer. He's been involved in production all along and mixing as well. And obviously he has his studio in Uppsala, Dugout Studios, which has an SSL, solid state logic, duality mixing desk.
Oxford, UK.
Oh yeah. Which unfortunately we don't have. And so he was asking us to make slight changes and making suggestions, and we were going back and forth, and the whole process was more involved than we actually anticipated. We thought we'd send everything and then we could just chill out But actually what happened was we sent everything, and then we had to work throughout the whole process still, didn't we? Oh, I did.
Well, you did.
Well, yeah.
The guitars are all fine.
Yeah.
What?
For the record.
Yeah. Were they?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, well,
Yeah,
they
he
were happy
wasn't a
with
big
it.
fan of the way that the drums sounded, so he suggested to re-record some parts and especially. I don't know how specific
Well,
it should be about this.
Let's be specific. I'm sorry, but
It was. It's not. This is nothing to do with Tom's playing or anything. It's the fact that he's using a sample library kit, and Daniel Bergstrand had some valid point. He was actually involved in the production of this software,
which
that
is the
Tom was
ironic
using,
thing.
which is funny. He was the guy who actually recorded.
so he's kind of to
the
blame.
samples with the drummer from Meshuggah, Thomas Harker. They did one of the sample libraries for it, and so he knew its limitations, and there were some things that it was basically the cymbals.
Yeah, the ride cymbal. I mean, what happened was he didn't like the sound of the triggered ride cymbal, especially when it was kind of played many times in a row, which, you know, he was involved in the production of those sample libraries. So I could probably have said, well, you should have done something different, but you know, whatever. And so I bought a ride cymbal and I tried to overdub the ride, but overdubbing the ride to already created drum tracks is basically impossible because the feel, you know, if you're playing, yeah, because the drum tracks that I created were slightly out of time because that's the way that you play when you play live. If I had actually a drum beat that was perfectly in time, I could have just played it perfectly in time, but I was having to try and match a, you know, an already
slightly flexible.
yeah, recording in the MIDI, so you know it didn't work, and anyway we went with what I originally recorded in the end.
Well, it was never going to work. To be honest.
No, it couldn't have worked. It would have been a miracle.
He tried.
But
For a week.
Bergstrand
He was going mad about it, basically.
Yeah,
Then.
but Bergstrand did a lot of work with layering other samples that he's recorded since, and kind of filling out the drum sounds and stuff, and kind of getting it, because he's very much a drum guy. You see, Bergstrand, he's very good with drum production and probably goes into it a lot deeper than most do.
I mean, for the record, Daniel Bergstrand, in our educated opinion, is an awesome guy to work with, and he's produced a product that we're incredibly happy with, and you know, he's a serious professional, you know, a guy, and it was really good to work with someone who gave us feedback and was, you know, really professional about it, continuous feedback, and we basically created a lot of communication with him, and we worked out what we had to work out, and got to the point where we had the album. So you know, that's
it's also not very easy to be working with someone that's so far away from you, you know.
Yeah.
It was all remote. So that was that process, and
The next one we're doing ourselves.
yeah, we will do the next
It's
album
just
100% ourselves, because there's so many. When you think about a track, there's 100 different tracks, and we're hearing it in a certain way, and we're hearing one synth slightly louder, and you know, whatever it is that's going on. So for him to magically come up with the same conclusion that we
Well,
have.
yeah, he never would. He's a different human being, and he'd hear it how he hears it.
Yeah, and which is why we got him involved.
So that's-
We wanted that.
Like, in a way, by getting someone else involved, we kind of relinquish control of the details, so to speak, like the little minor effects things and all the little minor kind of nuances in it, which is a situation I don't particularly like being in, because I like being very much in control of it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But the thing is, the overall full-on sound and the gelling of everything that he's done is something that we just wouldn't be able to have done with the equipment we have now.
Yeah, I mean, and also he's kind of reimagined some things, and he's brought some things out, and he's added some subtle stuff in the background that you know, we probably wouldn't have ended up with. So I think that all in all, because of considering where we were and where we are, it was 100% the right thing to do, the right process to engage in. And we are incredibly happy with the result, and that's the main thing. That's what matters, is the actual sound of the album. And I think that we've got a fantastic sounding album that is, well composed, and that was ultimately where we wanted to end up. So we kind of, win. We succeeded in what we wanted to do. So, and now we'll talk about the release of the album.
We haven't done it yet.
Well, no, we haven't released it yet.
You mean the plan?
Yeah, the plan and how we're going to go about it. So, album's not released yet, but it's going to be released probably around the 15th of May, if not exactly on the 15th of May. And we have a few different ways that you can actually access the album. So, being a fully contemporary band, we're going to upload it in full to YouTube, but that will be 1 month after release. So we're looking at mid-June for the full upload to YouTube, so you can stream it. But before that, you'll be able to stream it on Spotify. And
it'll be available to buy on Amazon, iTunes, and all those kind of places.
As MP3 and digitally. And
the full product, in a way, 'cause with all the artwork and a proper resolution, is we're selling digipacks directly. Digibooks, sorry. Oh dear. So that's kind of the physical release. So they're currently being made right now. Very nice.
Looks like that. So we're going to have these digibooks that are going to be available for purchase from our website, isurusband.com, and they're going to be priced below the price you'd usually pay for a digibook. We're going to be charging £9.99 for a digibook. At some point we're going to do a limited edition run where we sign a certain number. We're only going to sign 100, so those 100 CDs that we actually sign are going to be the only ones that we're ever going to sign.
I thought we weren't doing that.
No, we are. We're just not doing it the first batch. We're doing it afterwards. So at some point we're going to release a kind of special edition, which are signed copies of the album. But initially they'll just be, you can just buy them from our website, and the artwork's looking pretty amazing. Is that everything?
Well, before we actually release it digitally and physically, there'll be 3 tracks available to download for free on the website, which will be on the 1st of May, so not very long now, like a week away.
3 free tracks.
And they're the first 3 tracks of the album, so there'll be an MP3 download only from the website.
Yep. But you can listen to a track of ours off the album right now if you go and check the link in the description for the track Logos. That's available online, and we're getting some pretty damn good feedback from that.
Yeah, we really hope that you like it and possibly you share it as much as you can. Need some motivation to keep doing this.
Yeah, because we don't have a record label or management or anything. We do everything ourselves. We make the videos ourselves, everything. Share it, give it away.
Buy it. Okay, thanks for thanks for watching. And we will see you again in Isurus Vlog 10, which will be uploaded probably in around a week from now.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone. And?
It's going to be about?
A week from now.
No, what's it going to be about?
It's going to be about what makes a very good live performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're interested in that, tune in.
So enjoy Logos.
We might change it.
We think it rocks. Hopefully you do too. But we don't really care. We know it rocks. So
We've done it. We're happy. We've done it, and we're happy. And,
it's out of our hands now.
Yeah, yeah. So enjoy, and thank you for watching. And we'll stay tuned. We'll be back in around a week's time from now.
Goodbye from Isurus.